My name is Eamon McIntyre. I'm a member of the Granard Men Shed, and this is my contribution to Ireland Read today. The reason I chose this piece here, we're doing restoration of old carriages belonging to a man called Banconi, who started the transport revolution in Ireland back in 1815. But he came from, I started doing a bit of research into him and I got hooked into it, but he came to Ireland anyway as an apprentice engraver, and after a few years he got his own business set up at that, and then he decided to start a transport company, transport road for horse-drawn carriages, and he started in 1815 in Clonmel, and he's done the first run from Clonmel to Cale, and it was a penny farthing a head on the, that was the charge, the fare on the thing, and he was carrying 6 passengers at a time. It was like the old Irish jaunting car that he was using for the transport. But then we started here to try and restore some of the old carriage belonging to him, and we're one completed, the very first one, and now we're doing the second one at the moment. And anyway, he started in 1815, and on the 6th of July 1815 he done the first run from Clonmel to Cale. As I said, he ran an empty carriage the first few days, and people were reluctant to leave the transport they had at that time, which was Morrissey's boats that travelled on the shore. And the shore being a tidal river, they were governed by the tide, what time they could go out and what time they could get back. They wouldn't make it in the one day, so it was costing more for them to overnight stay than Banconi's carriage, but they were still reluctant to leave the rivermen in case that Banconi's thing wasn't successful, and then they'd have no transport. But Banconi came up with a plan of his own, and he put on a second carriage, and this was supposed to be an impostor that was coming in opposition to Banconi. So he ran the second one. Even the driver didn't know who owned it, but the word went round that there was an impostor coming in to try and put Banconi out of business, and the people ran to support him, and that's the way he got the thing off the ground and going on anyway. But anyway, Charles Banconi was born in 1786 in a place called Tregola in northern Italy, and Carlo Gillespie Banconi on the 24th of September 1786 at Tregola near Como. He was christened Carlo, but when after some time here in Ireland it was changed to Charles. So he was always known here as Charles, but more often by Banconi, or his cars were known as the band's cars. A new carriage tax, which was threw many jaunting cars onto the market. There was a charge for him, a government tax for him at the time that meant that you couldn't use your own transport. It was left as unviable to do so. So he availed of this and started up the business anyway. And on the 5th of July 1815, he started to run from Clonmel to Cale. And then, years later, he expanded. But he made use of, at that particular time, he had a bit of luck as well. The war ended, and the market was flooded with horses that was and horsemen, and that was a chance for him to get the horses that he needed for the extra carriages he had to put on the road. And he started his own workshop in Clonmel, building the carriages, and he had the first carriage he made was a far barrow, called. That was the name he put on it, which meant cleared way. And the second one he had was Massey Dawson. That one carried 6 passengers on either side. The Finn McCool one was the biggest one then, it carried 10 passengers on each side. And anyway, he went on to have carriages all over the country, and he was ferrying them to the railways. At the railway came on at that time then, and he was ferrying the passengers to the railways. Before that, he was ferrying them to the docks, where they were all leaving Ireland at the time. So you could go on and on about Banconi. There's several books written about him, but he put Ireland, you could say, on wheels.